Josh. Yeah. Did I have it in the right thing here? Yeah, phone. That's the connection. And then what about up front? Oh, you want it to be on, just regular on, not the 40. Perfect. Whoop, that is not taking. Oh, see, volume's all the way down. Having nervous. Whoop. Okay. Good. You keep it on record, right? Yeah. Perfect. Just make sure this is whichever direction. I guess you're facing. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, that's it. That's fantastic. Yeah. You ready? We are. All right. Let's go. You ready?
Renee stepped up.
Give me more. We about to blow. Give me more. Give me more. We got one life, so we not gon' waste it. Live a large life, the rich and the famous. Oh.
Tony is still on YouTube. I'm Barbara Jackson McIntosh. I'm the moderator for this evening's forum. And we want to welcome you to the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, St. Croix District Senatorial Candidates Forum with 3 of our candidates, incumbents and 2 aspirants here with us this evening. But before I go any further, we will first hear from our Democratic Party State Chair, who is also an executive committee member of the National Democratic Party. He is also co-chair of the Joe Biden campaign and a whip captain of the Joe Biden campaign. Mr. Cecil Benjamin.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And once again, this is the second of our series of meeting with our candidate. I want to say good evening to the people of the Virgin Islands, particularly our people here in St. Croix. Again, we are presenting, taking the lead in presenting our candidates for the 4th legislature. In my judgment, these are some of the most qualified, experienced, competent, and committed candidates. We're doing it at a time when we're experiencing this deadly COVID virus pandemic. We insist that this must be done because this is what we custom to do traditionally. We need to let our Democrats and all the voters out there know that what we are presenting to them are the candidates that they will choose. They will have an opportunity to listen and to watch and to decide and have an informed choice or decision amongst these talented and competent delegates, candidates that we are presenting. With this, I would want to wish all of you the best in this endeavor. And thanks again for our team, Captain Sonia, Reese, Renee, Barbara, so many people in St. Thomas. I think we have Ivan Williams, before I forget those people, and we have Angel Bocas, Ray Barry, Chevron Thomas, Esquire, Tony Weeks, which is the top of our line in terms of leading the effort towards this technical situation here. Again, we welcome you and let's go.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. State Chair. Tonight's forum is viewed only online and you can hear it on WSCS 970 AM. The candidates are here in the in the studio with us, all right, and the volunteers. And we thank you so much for listening and spending your time with us here this evening. We will not be able to ask all of the questions that will be submitted online, and for that we apologize, but we're going to try our best to get to as many questions as possible. Each participant was asked to sign and adhere to the ground rules for the candidate virtual forum. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement, which we will do at the end of the entire forum. You will also be allowed 2 minutes to answer the question. At the end of the first minute, you will get a signal that you're at the end of your first minute. And at the end of the second minute, we will give you another another signal, that it's time for you to wrap up your thoughts. Okay. Failure to adhere to the guidelines and the rules of the forum, we probably will have to ask you. I said that last night and it's only true, so I'm going to say that. Okay, all right, so we are going to start with the first person. I'm going to start from my right, and this audience is left with Mr. Andrew John. He's one of our aspirants. What do you perceive as your primary responsibilities and duties as a senator? If you want to be successful.
Good night to the listening audience, everyone that's tuned in right now. I want to thank you for that question. I want to thank Mr. Benjamin and the Democratic Party for making this platform available for us to be able to reach the public and let everyone know exactly where we stand, our issues, and how we plan to tackle them moving forward in the 34th legislature. My name is Andrew John. I'm number 8 on the ballot, and listening to that question just makes me the responsibilities of a senator in the legislature is to oversight departments, allocate funds, and legislate meaningful policies. I intend to be a voice leading the charge in the 34th legislature to make sure that there are meaningful legislation passed in this 34th legislature to secure the future for our senior citizens, our taxpaying citizens, and our future teenage coming up in this future Virgin Islands. I intend to do anything in my power to bring everyone together collectively so we can move this journey forward together as a community. And I ask for your vote coming in this Democratic primary election on August 4th to vote for number 8, Andrew John. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you, Mr. John, and I apologize.
No problem.
I should have told you that, that should have been the open statement, instead of asking that question. But you took it away and you did your open statement anyway, and you so, I apologize. Senator Bailey, your open statement.
Thank you so much. Currently, number one on the ballot. I first want to thank the Democratic Party for having this forum. I was wondering for a while as to whether or not we would have an opportunity to be able to create issues and to be able to allow the people of the Virgin Islands to have a discussion with us relevant to concerns that they have that they are facing on a regular basis. So congratulations to the Democratic Party, so the voice and all the other individuals who have worked hard to put this together, and those individuals who have been running the Thursday radio program on a weekly basis. I want to thank you for that. I am excited to be here tonight to have the opportunity to be a part of a team that increases political awareness in the Virgin Islands. I'm thankful to God that He once again gave me the strength to be able to seek to be re-elected to serve in the 34th legislature. I have previously served for 3 terms, and I am humbled by the continuous support that the people of the Virgin Islands have given me to be able to represent them and represent their concerns. I have a bachelor's degree in mathematics and a master's in supervision and administration, and I think that those degrees have prepared me to serve. And I have served as the chair of the finance committee for the last 2 terms, and I have been a stakeholder for making sure that the government of the Virgin Islands, when it comes to the finances of the Virgin Islands, that we spend it in a transparent and accountable manner. I believe in good government. I believe in the potential of the Virgin Islands. I believe in the potential of St. Croix. And I know that if we have good representation in the legislature, it is possible for us to be able to solve, or at least begin to chip away at the many problems that we're presently facing. As a result of COVID-19, we bring back to literally back to stage 1. And this election, more than any other, is very, very important as to who you have in the legislature to represent you and who we have in the White House to represent the nation. I am seeking your support. I'm number 1 on the ballot. I'm committed to the community, and I'm dedicated to progress. More number 1, and all the rest. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Ms. Whitaker, Genevieve Whitaker, for your 2-minute opening.
A pleasant good evening. First, I want to thank the party for holding this forum in these difficult times that we experience COVID. And a special thank you also echo that to Ms. McIntosh, Peterson, Sonia Boyce, and our state chairman, as well as the members of the Territorial Committee who made this forum possible. To all of the listeners and viewers, good evening and pleasant evening to everyone. I am Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot. I also want to thank those who already supported me by casting their vote and supporting my candidacy. I want to thank my campaign team. And I want to thank especially all those who come and support. We are in some very difficult times, and I come to you as a humble servant, a young woman who has lived my entire life committed to the people of St. Croix. From very young, I began service. And so I am seeking this seat as a continued commitment to St. Croix and the people of the Virgin Islands. By way of background, I'm an activist. I'm legally trained. I dive into a number of issues. My platform reflects essentially the areas of concern of our community. When we talk about our healthcare system and the structure that needs to be reformed, we talk about our education system and how we must work diligently to revitalize our system and how we can continue to push upon our concerns over our economic development, especially centered on our local individuals. That's one thing I've been heavily pushed for. So I ask, as we, and I also want to fellow panelists, good evening to you as well. Because one of the things that's going to be key moving us forward is key to any success is collaboration. That's a skill that I possess. I've spent a number of times in the last few years since last running for office, and I'm thankful to those who have voted in favor of me, also being confident in my leadership. But I will also say that as I continue now into the trail once again, thank you so much again, and again, Judge Whitaker, for something about it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. So we're going to start our segment, a question and answer segment. And remember, you have 2 minutes, and our timers on the other side is Ms. Renee, so please try to look over so you can get your cue. The first question is for our Senator Leary. What is the most significant piece of legislation, in your opinion, that you have successfully passed in the 33rd legislature and why?
That's a good question, and I could name quite a number, but I need to narrow it down. I think as a former educator and one who have been in the field of education for some 29 years, and that I'm most proud of my ability to expand the majors of our university and the Virgin Islands. One of the first things I did was to look at what was on the St. Croix campus and look at areas of expansion in reference to student interest. So one of the first bill that I passed was to have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing program on the St. Croix campus so that we could create a pool of BSN. I then went on to fund a Master's of Arts and Social Work for those many individuals who are back home with a bachelor's degree in psychology and not sure what they want to do. And to be able to meet the needs of many of the different departments, human services, Bureau of Corrections, Department of Health, who are looking for social workers on a regular basis. I also funded money to start a Bachelor of Arts program in agriculture at the University of the Virgin Islands, and recently announced that they're getting ready to get that started. So when I look at this short 5 years and the fact that the University of the Virgin Islands had not created any new majors in over 15 years, to create 3 different majors that are now offered at the St. Croix campus, and solely at the St. Croix campus, I think is one of my greatest accomplishments. I do have plans to continue to expand the course offering of the University of the Virgin Islands. I think that an educated workforce is key to being able to move the economy and to move the island in reference to social issues. So I will continue to invest money into our homegrown university to make sure that the students on St. Croix have the same options as the students on St. Thomas and as the students in the jurisdictions. Thank you. Formula number 1 on the ballot.
Thank you. The next question goes to Mr. John, Andrew John. The legislature in the VI is often referred to as the first branch of government. What does this characterization mean to you? And will it affect the way you interact with other branches of the government if elected as a senator?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that question. My name is Andrew John. I'm the 8th on your ballot. Think about the legislative branch as the first branch of government that oversees our territory. One of the most important branch of government that exists in our territory. And it should be held accountable on every level. And I think the job requires a lot of experience that comes from being involved in businesses, being involved in government, being involved in all aspects. So I know that once I'm elected in the 24th legislature, I will execute, I will oversight, I will make sure that the legislative branch is working collectively with the judicial branch and the executive branch to make sure that policies is being in place to make sure that it secure the future of the Virgin Islands. I want to make sure that my position is being taken serious. I want to make sure that I uphold the oath that I take once I'm elected into office. And I want to make sure that I do a job for the people of this territory. Number 8, Andrew John, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. John. The next question is for Genevieve Whitaker. Ms. Whitaker. In your platform, you stated that educational revitalization, putting our children's human rights first, is one of your priorities. Can you explain to us what exactly does that mean and what is your plan to revitalize education in the territory?
Thank you so much for that question. That speaks, it's very near and dear to me. When I speak about educational revitalization, for one, as a legislator, our oversight over the Virgin Islands law. We already have in the Virgin Islands law since 1983 a requirement for our children to learn Virgin Islands and Caribbean history from kindergarten to 12th grade. I've spent several years now working with individuals who are pushing for that in the court system. So that is one avenue. With that, I express that we have many teachers in our territory and principals and administrators who continue without a full curriculum to implement that. I continue to work, whether that is on a nonprofit basis, out in the community, meeting, putting together and pushing for not only historical information being understood by our children, but even looking at the course of study, just like as we're looking at the higher education, but more specifically, our students being exposed to various careers and courses of study that will prepare them for not only the workforce, but to also be entrepreneurs. I also serve on the Virgin Islands Parent Health Education Board. From January until now, we have worked collectively to revamp the entire vocational system of the Virgin Islands. So I am committed to this work on my demonstration of the current work I'm involved with, but also my commitment to ensuring our children's human rights. Genevieve Whitaker, number 600.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. We're going to move on to education. Okay. And the first education question is for Mr. John. What do you see us doing better in preparing our young people for jobs in the community?
Thank you very much for that question. I am a product of the territory. I graduated from the educational complex in 1998. Mr. Cordier was my principal at the time. He was a very instrumental tool in helping me get my high school diploma. I remember the first day I walked through the gates and I met him and he's like, we had a conversation. He's like, what were your plans here coming to the complex? He's like, come to finish my schooling. He said, okay, keep your head out. Don't get caught up with this. I said, well, me coming to get caught up, I come to get my education. And that I did. Graduated in 1998 from the educational complex. At the time, we had the vocational side also, but that wasn't my field of interest. I was more engaged into the military, and I joined the Navy, and I ended up doing a tour overseas, and journeying along the way in life and coming back home. Education has seemed to slip through the cracks somehow, and now I want to be a part of that team to help rebuild our education in the Virgin Islands. We have a very unique situation here in this territory where we have a lot of oversight over a lot of things that we can manipulate or, in better terms, set up a better system so it works better for the people. And I think working collectively as a body, if we all sit down and address the issues that's plaguing our education system right now, I think that we could be well on our way to fixing the issues that's currently happening right now. So I can see that the team that's coming together is going to be an excellent team to work with, and I just want to be a part of that team to help move this territory forward. Angie John, number 8. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you, Mr. John. The next question is for Senator Neely. What is your understanding of the role of the Board of Education versus the Department of Education? And is the Board of Education fulfilling its mandate?
Thank you so much for that question. Definitely the board is not fulfilling their mandate. If you look at the Virgin Islands Code, it is clear as to the governance of the board have over the Department of Education. But over the years, they have really given away most of the power to the department. The board is responsible for policy, while the department is actually responsible for operation. The board should be the entity that hires the superintendents of school. So we're at a crossroad in terms of what direction should we move futuristically in order to make sure that the education system is meeting the goals that are set out in the Virgin Islands Code. And part of that is going to entail members who are elected to the Board of Education to be progressive and to begin to demand back the powers that were given to them in the Virgin Islands Code as per law. I think that we are presently at one of the most difficult moments in the history of education in the Virgin Islands with COVID-19, because the transition that we have to go through for this upcoming school year is one that is difficult and one that has the possibility to leave a lot of children behind based on lack of resources and based on the family structure and the environment that they're in. So moving forward, we're going to have to be very, very creative as to how we're going to be able to meet the needs of our students, especially the special needs population, those students who want to go into vocational trade, because there is a possibility that we're going to be virtual for quite a while longer. So we have to define as to what is that going to look like, how our parents are going to be able to adjust to being able to work and fulfill their work duties while being a teacher at home and providing a structured setting. I am literally scared for the Virgin Islands and what is taking place with COVID-19. I'm scared for the world because we just in a totally different place that is going to take a certain amount of discipline in order for us to navigate the environment that we're presently in. Thank you so much, Kurt. Number one on the bottom.
Thank you. I just need to follow up with your question on something about the role of the board. So do you believe that it's just simply the board not fulfilling their duties and responsibilities, or they need some legislative intervention?
When you look at all the laws that are in the book, there's so much. A lot of it is just lack of implementation. Individuals not really doing what they're supposed to do. I think that to a certain degree, education can move away from career educators in leadership position and individuals who actually have school-based administrative knowledge and school-based experience to a number of individuals who are presently being placed in positions without the requisite administrative experience that is necessary to be able to move education forward. I believe that the Commissioner of Education should be allowed to pick the team, no matter what administration. I believe that superintendents should be allowed to pick their team so you can have similar philosophical goals and objectives. If we're going to move education forward, we have to be able to assemble teams that have similar viewpoints and similar goals. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that clarification. The next question goes to Ms. Berger. Civics education was mandated to be taught in all public schools. What would you do to ensure that the board and Department of Education are fulfilling this mandate?
Thank you for that question. For one, I want to highlight that civic education is something that I pushed for, which was an initiative spawned over a decade ago, when a group of Virgin Islanders and I came together as young people to form what's known as the Virgin Islands Youth Advocacy Coalition. And we have focused on civic education for over a decade. In 2017, President Obama recognized my work within civics at his national summit in Chicago for the opening of his foundation. So with that, I say that I am committed. In 2016, we have to recognize that one of the chief sponsors of the legislation requiring one course in order to graduate was put into law. Senator Nova Francis being one of the prime sponsors. He invited myself and others as testifiers for that very legislation. We are now 4 years away, and the question becomes, where's the Department of Education and the Board of Education, the implementation of the curriculum? I had an opportunity to actually view a draft of the curriculum, and I took great exception because it was not the way the curriculum should be brought forward. My commitment to the people of the Virgin Islands is that when it's important that you are part of the process, whether that is building a curriculum, the parents, teachers, and students. So one of the ways I will continue to hold the board accountable and the Department of Education accountable is number one, our ability as senators to pass a budget, holding them accountable through itemized budgets, holding several meetings outside the legislature, and if necessary, going to our other branch, another branch of government, our judicial branch, to seek any kind of relief in having the court system help us enforce the law. Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Mr. John. Vocational education should be taught in school. Some children are more hands-on when it comes to learning. What is your position on vocational education being mandated to be taught in schools?
Thank you very much for that question. And John, number 8 on your ballot. Vocational education is very important in this time that we're living in. We have a refinery, we have several other entities here on the island in our territory that requires high demand of employment. Therefore, we need to make sure that our children are being taught on the vocational level to make sure that they are the first ones in line and first top priority here in these jobs. There should be no reason why Line 3B or any other entity that comes here to operate in our territory should be outsourcing jobs overseas in thousands. It's unacceptable. We should be training our children right here in the territory to make sure they are well skilled and equipped to perform these tasks when ready and available. So we need to make sure, and once again, I want to thank Ms. Whitaker for chairing on the vocational board to make sure that that pipeline is being opened back up to the refinery to make sure our children are the top priority to getting these jobs. And like I said before, I just want to make sure that we work collectively as a team to build and continue to build to make sure that the future is there for our next generation. Andrew John, number 8 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Mr. Bailey, Senator Bailey, I'm sorry. What measures have you put in place or will put in place to improve our education system and student academic performance?
I had a bill that I proposed in my first term, and the bill was heard in committee and deemed at that time to be a little bit controversial because it dealt with some union issues that the union were not pleased in terms of the path moving forward for school. It was a school accountability bill and literally created a report card for all schools that it required a reporting period or a template as to which schools would be able to determine their performance. It had to do with retention rate, passing rate, absenteeism, etc. Schools that were deemed to not meet certain guidelines will go into a recovery phase in which additional resources will be dedicated by the Department of Education for those schools that were not performing up to par. And I'll give an example. You would have a school like Ricardo Richards and Pearlie Lawson, whose test score was way up there, and then you look at the fact that Ricardo Richards had 15 paraprofessionals, but Juanita Darling, who was struggling with test score, had 5 paraprofessionals. So it was a way to look at the resources that you're given to each of the schools to make sure that the schools that need the most resources are given just that. And we're going to have to seriously revisit exactly how we deploy the staff and resources of the Department of Education and looking at schools that have a high number of disciplinary incident, as to whether or not they will need for additional counselors, additional individuals that will be able to provide support for those particular students. It's looking at whether or not we need some human services resources in particular school to make sure that our children have a conducive environment at home. So that is a very comprehensive. I have it back and blue. I have taken out those areas that I think were a bit problematic. The union had some issues with transfers and some other issues that are typical union issues. But I think that principals need to be held accountable for their school. And we can't always put all the blame on education. As a principal, you got to be accountable for the school that you run in. During the summer, it is your job to make sure that your school is ready to open. You can't be home all summer and then 1 week before school is ready to open, you go to that school and you're complaining you don't have X, Y, and Z in place. It is your job to plan programs. The magnet program of the Sacred Educational Complex, that was a creative program that was designed and planned just for that particular school. So, part of it, number one, I would love to expand on that.
Thank you, Mr. Leon. Interesting. The next question is from Ms. Whitaker. With the COVID-19 pandemic, the Department of Education presented 3 plans for parents to choose from. What role do you see the legislature playing in helping these plans become successful?
Thank you very much for that question. I've actually had an opportunity through my service on the Curriculum Educational Board, but also just through my continued push for the Department of Education to continue its plan in schools being safe for our children in the sense of the technological requirement. Many of our students are still in need of the laptops and internet connection devices or Wi-Fi and other devices to connect. As a senator, our job is again to pass an effective balanced budget, but more specifically as we engage in oversight over the Department of Education in its use of federal funds. The Department of Education, like many of our departments throughout the territory, were given CARES funds. And so as a legislature and as a public body, we must go over and vet how they're using those funds. The 3 plans, I remain concerned though about when plans are executed, ensuring that everyone's at the table. One of the things that I will do as a senator is to ensure that we engage the parents, teachers, and students, get as many people at the table, so that when decisions are made, it is that everyone has the buy-in. And again, over the CARES funds, how they're being used, surveys in the community, and also the push to get all of our internet service providers, the ING and others engaged in providing robust internet to our children, for those who are, especially those who are in need of internet connectivity. Genevieve Whitaker, I'm serving the ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. This question I'm asking of everyone. Same question. It's a healthcare question. We're going to start with Senator Dean. An overwhelming majority of Virgin Islands residents have to move off island or travel off island for better medical care. They do that frequently to the stateside. Give us an outline of your plan to improve our healthcare system.
I've had a number of meetings with the President Administration for the Montgomery Hospital and also with the individuals that were in the CEO position before. My first, before we faced now with the destruction of the infrastructure of the hospital, my first position was to create a partnership with an entity in the mainland that is recognized and fully understand the complexity of running the healthcare system. So I had an opportunity to carry the CEO at that point, and the chair of the board, the Senatorial board, to visit Baptist Healthcare in South Florida, to get an understanding and to try to forge some partnership agreement in terms of them being able to help us to create protocols to be able to efficiently improve some of the services in the hospital. The 1 year we'll concentrate on at that point was emergency room services, where we had an agreement where they were willing to come in and do an evaluation of how we will conduct the service in the emergency room and to suggest the rest of the protocols for improvement. We were trying to partner with one of those larger entities to be able to enter into their procurement services because we get things so much cheaper because there are so many this. And unfortunately, that didn't pan out for a lot of different reasons and so on. So some of the same reasons resistant people as figured out individuals. We now have an opportunity and we get ready to open a GFL not. And I think that Williams and our team really did a good job and really be progressive in trying to move healthcare forward. And I truly think that when the modular structure that is here, the hardest structure that is not yet reopens, it is going to be an attraction to hopefully lower additional taxes back to them. We get state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art operating rooms. We will have a psychiatric ward for the first time that's going to be reopened. Kurt really number one.
Thank you. Mr. John, same question. An overwhelming majority of Virgin Islands residents have to move off island or travel off island frequently for better medical care. Give us an outline of your plan to improve our healthcare system in the territory.
Thank you for that question, Andrew John, on my ballot. We have to work and put in more work, and we have to do this collectively. We need to make sure that the healthcare system is there in place to take care of our community. If we don't have no healthcare system, we have a lot of problems, people. And that's why the kind of country you want to be in. It's such a small territory with a small community of people. We don't even have a population of 200,000 people in this whole territory between the 4 islands. And healthcare is crucial. So we can make sure that we get some kind of good, productive healthcare service that's going to service the people of this territory, whether it be they have mentally ill problems, whether it be they have asthmatic problems, whether they have diabetic problems, whatever their medical needs are. We need to make sure as leaders that they are taken care of, the healthcare is affordable, and it's not something that they have to worry about every night when they lay their head on their pillow to go to bed at night. What happens if something happens to me tonight? Am I even going to be able to get an ambulance to come and pick me up? This is not the territory I call paradise. So we need to make sure our healthcare system is properly in line and is ready and willing to take care of our people right here in this territory. As you, John, number 8 on your ballot. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Mr. John. Ms. Melissa, would you like to repeat the question?
Genevieve Blair, number 6 on your ballot. As a huge proponent of integrative health, and I am not a health expert, but I lean on the experts. What I would like to push for is integrative health. As we work towards healing our minds, bodies, and souls, and specifically preventative health care. One of the ways in which we can do that, because I'm a big proponent of also looking within before we look outside of ourselves, reaching out to our fellow Virginians in the diaspora who are in the health industry, bringing them home, helping them to help build our system. And I will also add, in terms of structure, the board itself being much more welcoming and open to alternative healthcare and practitioners who are here, so that we build a system, a healthcare system that looks at the value, the quality. And when we do that, we will see not only are we building just the structures, but we also looking to help our people. We hear the mental health cry consistently. One of the ways in which, as a senator, I will be pushing is to support our local entities who have done tremendous work in this area, who are underfunded, and who have are not probably supported. We've given lots of funds to entities that are from the outside, while they supported us well, we have not provided enough equity among the local individuals who do the day-to-day work, do the hard work, and they need also the support. So again, Jackie Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot, asking for your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. So then now we're gonna move to our economic focus. Economy. I'm going to start with Senator Leahy. Do you believe that the EDA and the RT Park are fulfilling their mandate? Why or why not?
To a certain degree, yes. EDA to a certain degree. RT Park have had some recent ability to attract businesses to come to the Virgin Islands. So I would say also to a certain degree the RT Park. I have issues in terms of compliance of the RT Park and how they do the compliance measures and how they're able to make sure that companies that receive tax benefit are actually fulfilling what they're supposed to fulfill to the people of the Virgin Islands. If you look at about a year ago, the layoffs that took place at Playa, they were under the RT Park, and those layoffs took place without any type of government entity being able to have a meeting and find out exactly what was going on. At the EDA, it's a different setup. In order for you to lay off anybody, you have to present your case. You have to be able to receive affirmative answer that these particular circumstances did not allow you, or does not allow you to continue to hire in the same capacity. I am looking at legislation to really be able to merge those two entities together, the RT Park and the Economic Development Authority, because the mission is literally the same, except one is way more defined. We have a bill right now where we're going to pass some additional funding for EDA to be able to go out and attract companies, pharmaceutical and companies that do light manufacturing. We think that with the advent of COVID-19, that the United States have clearly realized that they can't continue to produce everything in foreign countries, and that this is an opportunity to bring some manufacturing back to the Virgin Islands. So we're going to give them some money to go after those targeted groups. We're also going to give them some additional money to work on the infrastructure out there at the industrial park. We think that with the Jones Act, the bill that Senator Francis is coming with, so I'm sure that we have a lot of opportunities. So definitely, I believe in the two entities, but I think we have something to correct relate on the one.
Thank you, Senator. The next question is from Ms. Whitaker. We have discussed industry diversification for decades, but have not been able to make any significant shift. What do you see as the obstacle to achieving the needed diversification?
Thanks for that question. And it's actually one of my platform items, which is centered on local economic development. First off, for those who are listening, go to USBI, when you type in EDA, go to their website, usba.org, and read over their 2040 vision. Because as senators, we need to read it, digest it, and hold the EDA accountable. Which will also start with the governing board having meetings and following the Sunshine Law that people can participate. Light manufacturing is going on right now in our territory, so my plan is to continue to support our local businesses at the same time as attracting those from outside, but beginning more to cater to our people and our fellow Virgin Islanders. Because there was a time in our territory when we were focused on building local wealth generation, and that is part of the 2040 vision. I will continue to look at EDA's programs and also working with the governor on how we can, as senators, exercise oversight over the Public Finance Authority that I'll be very frank with the public is long due for an investigation and overhaul. Because as I'm a person who is very much into reading and vetting information, they have yet to submit an annual report which is required by law. So I say this again, that is a commitment to me, to people of the Virgin Islands, to build local economy, so we can push our people forward. Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Mr. John. What can you do to stimulate more local entrepreneurship? what do you think you can do as a senator action to stimulate local entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much for that question. I just joined number 8 on your ballot. As an entrepreneur, I own Brooklyn VI Barbershop and Boutique. I also own part owner of John's Jerk Chicken, as an also food mobile business. And I believe that if we train and equip our future generation with the tools that they need necessary to be capable of understanding their capabilities, we will have a lot more businesses developing here in the territory. We have a lot of creativity here. We have a lot of passion here. We have a lot of talent, but it's not being crafted. It's not being cultivated. It's not being fed, and it's just withering. So I want to be an instrumental tool in helping educating the young entrepreneurs that's coming up in this territory to understand that, listen, y'all have people here. Y'all have people that are willing to help y'all, guide y'all, get y'all the information y'all need so y'all can be confident moving forward in this economic development that's taking place right now in the territory. I believe after this COVID-19 calm down a little bit, I don't think it's going to go away entirely, but I do believe we're going to have a space where it's going to calm down, and I believe we're going to have a gap window where a lot of economic boom is going to happen. And I know there's a generation that's waiting and ready and waiting for that opportunity. I want to be there to help them, guide them along that way. And you, John, number 8, with your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Ms. Whitaker. We have not added any new hotel rooms on St. Croix for several years. What can you do legislatively to stimulate that type of development?
Thank you for that question, and the numbers are actually alarming. Think about how we compare the 3 islands, and that even Island St. John has more rooms than St. Croix, and over history, how it's been voted. With my colleagues, with the executive branch, because we know that the PFA and other entities have the ability to source funds. We need to begin the process immediately of attracting hotels. And I'm also not just attracting any hotels that also respect our culture and our history. And there are hotels out there that do. I had the opportunity to actually visit one, where the respect for the people is there. So with that, working with all of our relevant entities, DPNR, all the various entities that's responsible, and having them at the table, having the people at the table, whatever land we're using, and the people who will be affected by the building of that hotel, that they be part of the process. As I'm committed to as a senator, in being sure when we draft bills and craft them, that the people at the table, town hall meetings, engagement, in ways in which you understand what we're attempting to pass, what you would like us to pass, and what we can then work together and move forward. So it's about us coming together, being strategic, and one of the things that I'm driven by is action. Person who's committed to setting goals and objectives, and continue to do that as a senator. With the hotel development, I will also add, we need to also encourage our own people to become hoteliers, and supporting that as well, bed and breakfasts and the like. So it's not always about what we can bring from outside, but how we can cultivate within. Entrepreneurship, there's a lot of opportunities for individuals through Airbnbs right now, and so continue to work on, again, local economic development, even in the context as we build and hopefully get hotels here, especially in Alice and Florida. Thank you so much. Genevieve Whitaker, I'm the Superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Senator Bielli. What are your major economic development plans or proposals to improve the economy of the Virgin Islands?
I think what surprises is what a difference 1 year brings. I think St. Croix was really moving in the right direction. We were able to attract like 3 to come here and revitalize the primary that was passed in the 31st and 32nd legislature. We were able to work a deal with the NGL for most recent, that was in the 31st and 32nd. We were able to get the Friend Hotel here. That was in the 31st legislature. We were able to get the downtown casino. All of those are measures that we worked on in the Senate. And we saw a progressive movement of St. Croix, where we saw the restaurant industry begin to reopen. We saw stores reopening. When you look at the actual numbers now, St. Croix has actually collected more gross receipts right now in the month of June than the island of St. Thomas, which shows that there's more economic activity on St. Croix than on St. Thomas at this point. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff have taken a bit of a step backward. And because of COVID-19, because of the lack of activity in certain areas, but I believe that the Virgin Islands is ripe for expansion. The Caribbean is going to be one of the areas that is going to explode after COVID-19 is gone, because it's going to be looked at as one of the safer areas. So we have to make sure that we create an environment where we're going to be able to move forward in terms of the economy. I think that the cruise ship industry and the hotel industry definitely will bounce back on the island of St. Thomas. I was successful in passing the Hotel Development Act, amendments, major amendments, and major amendments to tax increment financing, so that the Economic Development Authority can go out and be able to market the Virgin Islands to try to bring a major developer to the islands. I'm going to continue to look at what needs to be amended in the EDA. I was able to just amend legislation that resulted in the International Private Bank being established in Christian setting in the can't remember the name of the building, but we know that the old Continental building. And I think that we have the tools to market the Virgin Islands, but we need individuals who are sitting in those positions to be aggressive in going out there and setting those parameters to be able to attract businesses, and also to be able to attract businesses from within. But I think we have a good opportunity to move in the right direction.
Thank you, Lieutenant. The next question, I call it the 1,000 pound elephant in the room. And this question is going to be asked of all the participants, the GDRs. Working with the GDR's board, and for those who are listening, we have some guests that are listening. GDRs is a government employee retirement system. Working with that board and the executive branch, what plans do you have to save this system from becoming insolvent? What is your plan to assist in saving this system from becoming insolvent? And that's the first person I will direct that question to is the board.
Thank you. First off, what is key is having an understanding of the system. So for me now, it's been several years, well over a decade, I've been involved in advocacy efforts to address the issue with our GWS, our retirement system, 25% of our GDP. And and the scary part is that what's taking place is that there are some measures that are going to especially affect our seniors that are going to come to pass soon in January if nothing's done. There have been several measures passed by the legislature over a 20-year period where the retirement system has been underfunded. We've had a series of issues, corruption in terms of, and just poor actions by the board in terms of them going up into the stock market. My plans for GRS centered on continuing with economic initiatives. One centered on one specifically that we building our society. We have a lot of contracts out there, and mostly been beneficial to those from the outside. One of the things to shore up GRS is also re-examining what is, for example, we have most recently with GRS severance ratio with WICO, realizing some savings. But more specifically, working on initiatives with the governor to push on creating new streams of revenue. I will be examining all of the measures that we can roll back and repeal to really start to address that. We also have a court case where we need to push for the government to actually go ahead and fulfill his mandate as the court has advised, is to pay down the government's portion.
I will also add to that is meeting consistently, as I've done already actually, I've met the board, I've met the director as well. And I continue to work in that area. It's going to be a difficult task. One is not insurmountable. It's going to require all of us to be engaged in the process, examine the legislation, push for economic reform that call for the finance authority, right, from all these entities that unfortunately over many years have not used our funds effectively, which led to the crisis period. Thank you very much, and we're going to sit in the ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. The same question to Senator Bielli. What, working with the GRS board and the executive branch, what plans do you have to save this system from becoming insolvent?
Thank you so much for the question, and that is one of the hardest questions that we face in politics and we face as a government of the Virgin Islands. Definitely, we always fight in the finances of the Virgin Islands, and we kind of up and down for the last couple of years. 2014 we grew up, 2016 we got back on the feet, 2017 the hurricane hit, we got back on our feet, COVID hit, and we're coming again. But I recently, and before I talk about my idea, first we did pass GRS reform back in 2013. We passed a bill that was sitting there for 5 or 6 years. The senators literally didn't want to move because it created a tier 2. It was able to stop individuals from retiring at 20 years and it tied it to age. It changed the way that the retirement annuity is calculated. It's calculated now over all the years that you have worked and not just the last 5 years. So that was the first thing we had to do to be able to amend all the bad measures that were passed before this bill corrected all of that. So the next big component we have is how we exactly going to fund the monies that are needed to keep the system solvent, since the ratio is now 1 active employee to 1 retiree. When it started, it was like 9 to 1 and then 7 to 1. So the active employees were able to pay for the retirees. That ratio has changed. If we look at the budget for last fiscal year, it was about $868 million. As a result of COVID, we have decreased those numbers drastically, and the budget proposed for this year is about $742 million. I am thinking that we're going to come in anywhere between 742 to 760. If we're able to reopen the economy and be able to get our budget back up to that 860, 870 level, we need to maintain our expenses at the 760 and take the additional $100 million that we generated. What we did last year, we generated 860, 870, and take that $100 million as a line item to GRS. So GRS is going to have to become a line item in the budget every year, and it can only be done by being able to control the expenses of the government and when we grow the economy, not to pledge all of those monies to salary and contracts and everything else. We have to be able to maintain those levels. I think it's very doable. I've discussed with a number of senators and looking forward to see how we're going to be able to get the economy.
Thank you, Mr. Bielli. Mr. John? Same question, we like to repeat the question. Working with the Government Employees Retirement System Board and the executive branch, what plans do you have to save the system from becoming insolvent?
Thank you very much for that question. That's an excellent question. From the time I came home, GRS has been one of the biggest conversations on every radio show that I listen to. And it seems as if it's an impossible situation to solve. And I choose not to believe that because I know every situation has an answer. So collectively, like I said before, as a body, we need to research and find out where the problem lies and address the issue. One of the things I've seen that's happened with GRS over the years is bad investments, especially at Carabola. Totally bad investment. As an entrepreneur, I would never invest that type of money in Carabola. And I just feel as a body, if we stick together and we work collectively, we can find suitable investments where our retirees will not have to worry about a pension money not being there when they retire. So therefore, we need to find entities on the island, local entities that's gonna generate revenue and bring back return and find ways that GRS can now invest that money into our local entities that will now return that same revenue back into our very same system, retirement system that's gonna keep our elders, our seniors paid, keep our retirees paid, and everybody else that's paid into the system coming behind them. What we need to do is make sure the system do not fail. And that's one of our jobs as legislators, as leaders, as the executive branch, is to make sure that these operations is running effectively and efficiently to service the people of the territory. Item John number 8 on your ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. We're gonna move to energy. The first question is for our Senator Dillon. Some individuals have suggested that WAPA should be privatized. Should the legislature revisit this issue? Why or why not?
Definitely, I will never support full privatization of WAPA. Full privatization of WAPA and a storm hit mean that you're not going to be able to get assistance from the federal government that you did after two catastrophic category 5 hurricanes. Via had to reveal on their own. WAPA received federal assistance and were able to bring teams in very, very quickly. You can do a public-private partnership, but you have to be sure that the government retains the majority share and that the government retains the distribution of rights, etc., so that in the event of a storm, you're going to be able to get federal assistance. So it's just not as simple as bringing a private group, because you remember that a private group will simply just walk out or collect insurance money. We're presently in the phase of trying to get the owners of French Reef to continue to reinvest in those homes because they want that from the COVID. So you got to be very careful in terms of as to how you're going to proceed forward when it comes to an entity that every single person on this island needs. We have a bill that we just heard, and it's going to come back in committee, which we seek to restructure literally the board, look at the board, to move the board, and to be able to bring subject area professionals for a short period of time to do that deep dive into what finances, what accounting, the engineering aspect, efficiency, etc. And after they have concluded that deep dive, they're going to make the recommendations to WAPA as to the direction that they need to move forward in. If they deem that the present management of WAPA is unable to move in a direction that would make WAPA solvent and make WAPA more efficient, then according to the bill, they have authorization for an interim period of time to bring in a management team that have turnaround power management experience, power generating experience, to be able to run WAPA for an interim period of time with clear, defined guidelines and mandates that they have to meet in order to turn around the entity. I personally feel that WAPA has a serious management issue in which every contract that they enter into goes south. There's always something wrong, there's always something very strange in the way that they do the contract. The Vital deal was the worst deal that we ever entered into, that are causing us right now to have all of these high rates because we're trying to pay $160 million plus $8 million for management, plus a fee for fuel. That was the most corrupt deal that individuals ever entered into on behalf of that entity. Court bill number 1 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Dillon. The next question goes to Ms. Whitaker. What measures would you support to make basic energy production more efficient?
Thank you. For one, we need to launch an immediate investigation of the Water and Power Authority, use our investigation powers, because the level of corruption is high. And say that to say, the Virgin's law provides several provisions as it pertains to how WAPA can in fact engage in procurement. We have several things, even holding meetings that the public is even well informed of, they've fallen short in that. And so that is one thing that I would push for, getting my colleagues to get together to launch an immediate investigation into WAPA's books, all of their contracts that they procure. starting with that is also examining through structure, because there is again structure in the law that has not been followed. Specifically, Department of Finance Commissioner is supposed to actually work with WAPA, establish it's an entity known as the Infrastructure Fund, and that through that entity, working collaboratively to examine all the different ways in which we can effectively generate energy. There's a lot of work that's been done in that area already. We need to also tap into WAPA's ability to also generate income, and that is through creative ways in which to supply water for sale, which was an idea that was crafted a number of years ago, but pushed back on. And when we engage in those kinds of efforts to bring revenue about, we ensure that we first empower our own people. There have been many examples where, once again, we do an outside, inside empowerment, as well as not an empowerment actually. When we don't empower your own people, we witness what we witness today. So again, an immediate investigation into WAPA's finances, that must be done post-case. Working with the Commissioner of Finance in him executing his responsibility over the water fund, probably looking really at the procurement practices, examining those, and if necessary, amending the laws pertaining to the procurement of services. Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rissa. Mr. John, what would be your proposal regarding the affordability and use of renewable energy for businesses and residents in the territory? Your proposal regarding the affordability and use of renewable energy for businesses and residents in the territory.
Thank you very much for that question. As an entrepreneur, once again, as I said before, I ran and operated a barbershop in the Fredericksburg area, 76G Wing. I opened a barbershop in 2016, and WAPA was my biggest concern. It's something that's plaguing the territory for years, and I thought when we built the solar plant on the highway across from the Renaissance, that was going to aid and assist our bills in coming down. And instead, I didn't see that at all. So I would like to see in the future us work together as colleagues to make sure that we get some type of renewable energy in place to assist WAPA's production rate, whether it be solar, whether it be hydroelectric, whether it be windmills. We have got to get some type of new source of energy in place to reduce the plant production. The plant is overworking, therefore we're having outages. It's very simple, it's not hard. So we need to reduce the plant production to make sure you can reduce the oil that's being burned to produce the current, the electricity that we're burning. Therefore, we will reduce the bill. So we need to really, really work on creating a measure to help WAPA reduce production. Andrew John, number 8 on your ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John. Senator Villarreal, what is your policy or position on energy efficiency and cost-effective reduction for consumers?
Definitely agree with that. The propane conversion was supposed to save us a tremendous amount of money because the cost of propane is so much cheaper than oil. But after we executed that particular deal, and it wasn't executed in the legislature, it was executed by board. After that deal was executed, it went from some $87 million as well to $160 million. And then Vital came and said, well, we're going to lend you the money and you pay us back over 10 years at a 14% interest rate, which came up to some $30 million a year. And then they said, we are going to run the plant, run the operation of the propane, and we'll charge you anywhere between $6 to $9 million. And you're going to buy the fuel from us. And we're going to bunker a ship out from St. Thomas, and we're going to supply you with the fuel. So by the time we began to add in all of those different components, the costs have gone through the roof. And then they said, well, you know, we need to buy more efficient units. And we did that. We did that in St. Thomas. We bought efficient units, but then the units weren't reliable. They had issues with the fuel sourcing of those particular units. So every time I think about WAPA, it has to do with a lack of planning. Individuals that are just going out and purchasing stuff and then not executing what were the real goals as to why they got into the deal in the first place. And we see Wyler purchase over $10 million of sand on the ground and then they use it, they scrap it, they sold it to somebody for a couple $1,000, renting a facility for $40-something thousand a month, and it's just a piece of land to store some trucks. So just every deal that we have seen has issues, a number of issues. The last one, they were just getting ready for a contract from a law that was a conflict of interest, and one of the individuals in management was actually a part of the company that was receiving the contract. Instead of him being fired for the mix-up, he was given 30 days leave with the fishing incident. Nobody was fired for that particular incident. What has taken place at WAPA can't take place in any other entity. These individuals would have been sent home, but at WAPA they're given a pat on the back. So they are allowed to continue with that same behavior. And it's not the CEO. It is the management underneath that have been there with every single CEO that are sat in that position. And that is what is really causing the issue. So we have to be brave enough to say, hey, we're going to cut the whole level. And we're going to bring in a group and hold them responsible with set goals. And they're going to have to accomplish this, but we got them to. But we have to reach that point. Call the number one and about.
Thank you, Senator. Next question is for Ms. Whitaker. What are some of the policies that you will put in place to address our current energy crisis?
Thank you for that question. First off, it would be consent. First off, we need to understand that there is an energy plan in the law. So we need to understand, we need to have, first of all, WAPA, we need to understand what the plan is. I have yet to actually see the plan being publicly shared in the sense of, and even consumed by senators. And I say that to say, proper planning is for performance, and we know that as we see WAPA, we are beyond the stage where not just the management issues, but how we oversee the entity. So here we have an opportunity through the energy plan that should have been created. It was in 2009 when that law was created, requiring that a plan be created. And as we move forward with that plan, that's our ability to, again, to push for renewable energy, again, ways in which we can have the power authority, water power authority to generate revenue. And more specifically, I'm actually never the biggest proponent of being outside. I'm a proponent of holding them accountable through not just the committee hearings, but other actions that will be necessary. Again, the power of the senators is to launch investigations with our Inspector General, and whatever we need to do to get into the books and provide information. Transparency is key. Providing the annual reports are important to us, which I've not seen many. I'm still waiting to see when we sent out annual reports, and the senators do have that information. It's not being widely shared to the public. My commitment to you, the people of the Virgin Islands, with those employed, is to share the information so we can all consume it. We all have a right to that information, and that way we can all be part of the process to overhaul our energy system. So again, we work from within, we work outside, work collectively to continue to push to transform our system, and that benefit of our businesses, our homes, everybody will benefit from proper energy generation. Genevieve Whitaker, $60.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Our next energy question will be to Mr. John. As a senator, when you become a senator, would you be in favor of natural energy? If so, which types? And how would you go about lobbying for natural energy implementation in the Virgin Islands?
Thank you very much for that question. I am a huge fan of natural energy, green energy, renewable energy. I'm a huge fan of the green, being that it's one of the most cleanest form of energy that's being used right now across the globe. And we have a very unique position in the world. I keep stressing this, and I'm not going to stop stressing this. We have a unique position in the world. where we reside here in the Virgin Islands. And if we take advantage of these unique positions that we have, we can have wind, we can have turbines, we can have hydroelectric. There's so many ways that we can create new renewable energy to help reduce our plant production. That we just need to start exploring the options. And green is one of my most favorable resources of energy. And I think if we start to explore that avenue, get the right source of people in here to start doing the research, see what needs to be done, where we need to bring experts in to do the research and not spend too much money, but make sure we spend enough money to get all the data that we need to make sure we're making the right decision. Collectively, I think we could get the right source of renewable energy here to help our plant produce electricity and affordable electricity that the people of the territory can afford to pay. There's no reason why our senior citizens that are retired should be in the supermarkets trying to figure out what they're going to pay for. I literally had to help seniors pay for groceries in the supermarket because they was about to put groceries back because they were trying to decide if they're going to pay the water bill, if they're going to pay the food bill, or if they're going to eat. This should not be paradise. This should not be happening to our people who are going to pay their debt to our society. Andrew John, I'm hating about it. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you, Mr. John. We're gonna move on to crime. And the first question is to Senator Bielli. Based on your understanding of professional policing, is it a concept that the police department should adopt? Do you think it's a concept that they should adopt?
I am not pleased with what the police department has become in terms of visibility, in terms of them being able to fully execute their duties. A long time ago, I brought it up to the commissioner. You have cars that are roving through neighborhoods and the windows are closed. The EC is up. You don't have any individuals walking through our homes on a regular basis. So many times I'm down where the walk, I could be on there for 2-3 hours and you don't see one police officer. I wonder as to why we don't have changed the way that we deploy officers. We know when the bulk of crimes are committed. We have a number of individuals that are in special units that need to be sent back to the street. I think we need to have very, very strong leadership when it comes to the chief of police. I think that Mr. Elsko is trying his best on that. I think we have to say that a hell of a job in terms of taking back the street. And unfortunately, we lost him. But I think that we, and I told the commissioner along with his staff, we need to stop using a consent decree as an excuse not to be an officer. And if you're in that particular position, you have a job to do. That is very important. You know, when you're having activities and stuff, you know, when there's denigrations and when people are traversing, you have to have officers visible. You know, after the hurricane, I think that was the most visible. We had officers when everybody needed to run by somebody, this and that, somebody's every day. You know, but you have to have the same thing occur on a regular basis that you come up with a plan as to how you're going to be able to have your officers more visible. We know where all of the major groups reside, and we know who the major players are. We need to begin to go into these homes and to check these individuals. We know where they are. We know who the main players. And the next big factor, and I'll finish, is the fact that we have cases that are pending so long that those individuals are either killed or they kill somebody because they're waiting for a case for 2-3 years. So the judicial system is also effective in being able to bring justice to those individuals and they won't have street justice.
Thank you, Senator Bielli. The next question is Senator Whitaker. What is going to be your commitment to provide support to the Virgin Islands Police Department to enable them to become more efficient and effective?
Thank you for that question. I will highlight that one of the major things that we need to look at, not just supporting the police department, but also the issues surrounding the basis for crime. Crime prevention is key. As a juvenile justice advocate, working within different systems, former number of things. We have teen court, drug court, this goes on, and I express these things because one of the things that I am not only knowledgeable about, but have worked within the criminal justice system as an advocate for people with prisoner rights, the list goes on, and the CPU list goes on. With our Regional Police Department, we must restore the police department's community intervention team. It's a board that is responsible for community policing. Also, to get us involved in intelligence-led policing. And I speak about that from perspective, but also understanding, because one of my last degrees is in strategic criminal justice management, which I had the opportunity to examine our Regional Police Department and how we can move it forward. Not only just them being on the street, but also them also being part of the community is going to be key. We also have to recognize a shift that has to be made. And even as been said, those in prison should not be there because we also know that our system is based in racism over many years. Our police department, additionally, with the recruitment efforts, is in the training of our officers, ensuring that they are engaged in community-led training. Finally, with the police department, again, pushing on them, creating these, reactivating the community intervention team, is working more concretely on addressing the situation concerning all of the structural issues. The consent decree isn't over, it's a continuing issue, but it has a lot to do, once again, with improper planning and the senator's oversight. I would like to simply to conclude and stating that we have to continue the process of looking at how we prepare ourselves, how we prepare our young people, and how we address our education system, because a lot of the crime stems from poverty and also our children not being prepared for the workforce. Thank you. Whatever conversation about it.
Thank you, Ms. Lissa. The next question goes to Mr. John. Do you believe that police officers are expected to fulfill too many roles?
Thank you very much for that question. The role of a police officer, as I know it, is to serve and protect the public. So if he's supposed to serve and protect the public, you gotta be out there, you gotta be doing your job, you gotta make sure the community is safe wherever. That night you're supposed to be patrolling. You're supposed to make sure you're getting out of your vehicle, you're doing your rounds, you're checking, flashing the lights where the lights need to go, because you know where these activities are taking place. You know where these things are happening. But it's a lack of communication between the community and the police department. It's a huge amount of unsolved cases here in this territory. A huge amount of unsolved cases. And it's a lot of cases where there was an eyewitness, somebody in the community saw it, and nobody's coming forward. And we want answers, but as a community, we're not working with our police force. We're not working with our police department. And sometimes you have to be honest about what's taking place. And what's taking place is a lot of communities where these murders and incidents are taking place, people are seeing it, and they're just not seeing anything. And it's making it harder for our police officers to do their job to solve the crime. So we need to understand as a community also we have a role to play. And that's it. If you see something, say something. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people believe this mentality that they don't want to be a snitch. And well, if you don't want to be a snitch, you don't want to help your community. What are we really doing here as a community? So when we want to roll back the curtain and be honest, let's be honest. Everybody have a part to play in this situation and share blame. When you see a crime and you don't say anything about it, and you close your window and you go back in your bedroom and say, oh, well, VIP, you got to figure it out. VIP is not going to figure it out. We need you to help figure it out. And collectively, like I keep saying, as a body, as a team, meaning the community also working with the legislature, working with the judicial branch, working with the executive branch, working together as a community we can solve issues and get results to these problems, but we have to work together. Angie John, thank you very much for that question.
Thank you, Mr. John. Another kind of question, they're prime for a little while, to Senatorial. Based on Title 3, Chapter 25 of the Virgin Islands Code, do you believe that the police department is meeting its mandate? And then another part of that question is, how will you ensure that the police department continue to get the resources that they need to effectively meet its mandate?
I'll answer the last part first. We have funded the police department every fiscal year. Last fiscal year, we funded the police department and funded over 70 vacant positions, and we have placed them in the budget. We were able to bring some classes on board. But as I continue to hear the questions in reference to crime in the Virgin Islands, I gotta go back to really what is occurring in our homes. And I know that a lot of times people say, well, poverty breeds that, etc. But the Virgin Islands was a very, not a rich place in the 60s and the 50s. And most people made a meager salary, but there was respect. And the crime rate was extremely low, but we have developed into a generation where individuals allow the loved one to come in the house every night with an AK-7 and lay the same bed with them. And something has to be wrong with that. We have become a society where individuals allow a 20 or 29-year-old to be driving a BMW, never work a day in their life, and it's okay with it. And unless you change that mindset, that it's not okay to be a tough, it is not okay to have that type of behavior. We're going to have issues. We get a little baby and we dress them like a top and a time on. We go over here, we put the pants on and behind, we show the shots, we put a big chain on the neck. And then by the time they reach 14, 15, and they're displaying top-like behavior, we want to know exactly what is going on. The Virgin Islands have come a transshipment port for drugs. So we have to be able to cut out the amount of drugs that is coming into the Virgin Islands, carrying individuals. You can pay them $40,000, $50,000 and they don't want to work. They don't have $40,000, $50,000 an hour. So unless we're able to really change the psyche, and especially I think the females in this society play a big part, because females can demand a lot from their spouse, from their loved one, where you're saying that I am not going to tolerate that type of behavior. Because behavior comes back to the home when they're shooting up homes. They're gone to different level now where they're going up here, no matter who you're with. So at some point, if you know that your loved one, your child is hot, are you going to continue to condone that type of behavior and then blame everybody and blame the system and blame this and blame that? When the blame really lies within your house? When we have had numerous single parents, numerous poor individuals, and raised good individuals. Ethics don't have anything to do, or morals don't have anything to do with your poverty level or how much money you make. You know, that has to do with who we are as a people. And the Virgin Islands need to move back in that direction where we're proud of where we live and where we don't condone talk like and drug behavior. God better number one than another.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman. Thank you, Senator Gilman. The next question looks in political. Do you feel that the current culture and approaches to crime solving cause people to feel that they're being harassed by the police instead of them being there to protect and serve?
Thank you for that question. So, the issue of crime is quite deep and quite severe because, again, behind all of this is a systemic racism over many years. When we look at our own system of crime fighting, we have not created a system where, for one, in terms of education, we're preparing individuals who have whether different issues at home that would lead to them not finishing school, and that impacts them in terms of them choosing crime because they do not have the resources for themselves. So culturally, we have not looked at the issue of crime from a racist perspective. And I say that to say we have not examined a perspective where we are now shifting. We have right now the issue of cannabis and marijuana being legalized. We know that the system of cannabis was based on the racist agenda that has led to many of our young black men being in prison, such that there are many reports. Even the United Nations have said that the systemic racism in America, country we live in, is focused on the very policing that's taking place. Here in our territory, we have not shifted from that either. So we need to shift from a more creative approach to crime fighting. Yes, holding people accountable for horrific crimes. But as we examine those who are in prison for reasons that are not in any way violent, but based on a system that set them in that situation. I will continue as a senator to work on overhauling our education system so that our young people learn about themselves and understand themselves. Their psychological development will be heightened such that they will be inspired to overcome their circumstances. Thank you, Genevieve Whitaker, and I'm sitting in the ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker. Our next question will go to Mr. John. What do you see as some of the issues that are hindering law enforcement efforts in the territory, and how can you, in your capacity as a legislator, if you are successful, to help remove these obstacles?
Thank you very much for that question. Once again, I have to stress, we have to work connected. The cops can't figure out everything that happens on a crime scene. I've watched numerous occasions where crime have took place in this territory, and it's an unsolved mystery, and it's just not being resolved. We have a whole police officer that disappeared, literally, out by grade 3, and it is an unsolved mystery still. Nobody has been brought to justice for this. And this is what I'm talking about when I say we as a community collectively have to work together with our law enforcement officers to make sure that their job can be done effectively. They can do what they need to do to keep our community safe, make sure our children are safe, make sure our elders are safe, make sure everyone in the community is safe. They have a job too. They report to their jobs, and their job is to protect and serve us, the people of the territory. Now, if we can help assist making their job easier, I urge us as the community to play our part and play our role in assisting, in making sure our police officers are not working twice as hard to solve crime. And just be a liaison to make sure that we're not increasing what's going on in the territory as far as drugs, guns, gang violence. All of these things is what's plaguing our territory, that's hindering our children from advancing in the field that they need to advance. So we need to make sure that our officers are well trained, well equipped, and capable of doing and fulfilling the duties as officers when it's called upon them to patrol the streets and do their job. Angie John, number 8. Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you, Mr. John. We'll move on to environmental issues. And the first question, our first environmental question will go to Ms. Whitaker. Native species are protected in the United States Virgin Islands under Senatorial Chapter 2. Yet, we continue to see widespread habitat loss for poorly planned residential and commercial development. How will you address the loss of ecosystem services due to environmental degradation from habitat loss, species extinction, and pollution?
Thank you for that question. Environmental education is near and dear to me. Just a point of education and a cool course of study. We'd like to push for our young people to be educated in the environment such that they then become those experts who go out there and examine our local species. That goes back to this long overdue land and water use plan that we continue to advance politically for those who are appointed to make that difference. So with that, all that I just said is that we have to continue to now move towards the execution of the land and water use plan. For us to collaboratively to move beyond the status quo and to shift and become concrete, set the goals, get the community engaged with our local species. Many people do not I, for one, don't know every species that is out there. So there needs to be a lot more public education. Work with the University of the Virgin Islands, EPNR, and our other entities, as well as the nonprofits and individuals who are environmental activists. I have been an environmental activist. I still am one in terms of over the years, continue to push for environmental education that delves into agriculture, another course of study not being implemented as per the law. And so all of this to say that we have both people to be engaged in this, us in the community to become more aware of our environment. And when we engage in business development, that we are very careful of who comes, who we allow to come to our territory, who have contributed to the destruction of our society. Many people know my thoughts and concerns about companies that have destroyed our ecosystem. I remain committed to that effort, to address that, and also to with the overall effort of, again, overhauling our education system, working with all our entities to make that possible. Then I need Whitaker and $600. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welcome. The next question is from Senator VLA. What actions did you take during your time in the Senate to improve our Virgin Islands environmental health for our future generations?
That's a very good question. I mean, before I answer that, I want to just put in on top of police officers with the job they do on a regular basis. And the question is to the level where you might think, you got to applaud them for the job they do on a regular basis. I think in terms of environmental concerns, I can't say a particular piece of legislation that I've passed, but I can say personally what I've done in the community and I've done with along with a number of individuals. My campaign team on a regular basis, we do clean up the lagoon area, the Island and partner with a number of different organizations in trying to make sure that we preserve what we have in the Virgin Islands. I think if you look at the code, the code is pretty clear in terms of being able to preserve the Virgin Islands. A lot of the issues that we have don't require additional laws. It just requires enforcement of what is already in the book. Because you come up by day and say, well, okay, let's see how we can protect our beaches, let's see how we can protect this with the code. And it's already there in the code. So it's just a lack of enforcement. I have looked at DPNR budget and looked to see exactly if there's a need for additional enforcement officers. We have actually funded additional enforcement officers to make sure that individuals take care of their environment. But I think that the most important thing that we could do is to teach children to love the environment in which they live, to teach them from a very young age, and not to litter, not to break tree limbs. I mean, just some basic stuff. Allow people to have an appreciation for where they live and the way that they're going to treat the island where they're at. We saw a recent outcry that we have had in reference to environmental issues and individuals who are just literally trashing areas, trashing the beach areas. That is not allowed. That is really just nationalistic pride, knowing that you're not supposed to do that. I mean, we can't legislate everything. And I think at a certain point, we don't forget that we can't legislate everything, and every issue that exists, they believe that the Senate can solve it. When the solution is really or the solution is in the environment that you live in, I think definitely when we speak into environmental issues, there are clear laws that when you're clearing land, the safety nets, and there are clear laws that exist as to how you're supposed to function, and also whether or not those laws are enforced in the different stories. So I would move towards enforcement.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Mr. John. What actions will you take to reduce the USVI carbon emissions contribution to the environment?
Thank you very much for that question. We have a substantial amount of vehicles here on the island for the population that we have here, number one, to begin with. So we got to start to look at a new option of automobiles. There have been a new variety of vehicles that's on the market now. One of them is electric. where now you don't have to worry about emissions being burned anymore because all you have to do is make sure you power your vehicle up before you leave out and drive out and you go and handle your business. So I am definitely an advocate for the government being one of the first entities that start promoting that. I see property and procurement was one of the first actual establishments here on St. Croix to actually introduce that electric automobile here to the territory to start showing us a new way to be able to traverse on the island without having to use fuel and burn gas and release emissions into the air. So I believe that if everyone collectively starts to look at how we can help the atmosphere and help our territory with emissions and lowering those emissions from going up, we can help reduce that issue moving forward. We also need to be proactive and making sure that we play our part. We can't always, like the senator said, I'm also a part of the cleanup programs that go on, that making sure that the beaches are clean, making sure our roadsides are clean, because it's very disturbing to me when I drive around my island and it's piles of trash just piled up on the side of the road. And it could just be in a nearby neighborhood, and somebody just decided they're not gonna go out to the landfill and dump their trash, and they take a quick look around and see nobody looking, they open the trunk and they goes all the garbage in the ground. And we gotta take more pride in our community, we gotta take more pride in our island, we gotta take more pride in our territory, we gotta teach our children in the house, respect your island is your paradise and treat it as such. Andrew John, number 18 about it. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, Mr. John. The landfills in the USPI are beyond capacity and action needs to be taken from multiple agencies. What do you think needs to be done to reduce the amount of trash that enters the landfill? Senator.
Thank you for that question. Let me go back to the last one, and we're trying to think about what laws are passed. I was a signatory, one of the main sponsors of the ban on plastic bags and also the ban on straws, and that was going to hopefully reduce the amount of plastic bag that goes into the seas and goes in the landfill on a regular basis, and it has reduced it tremendously. There's still a number of smaller stores that are violated, but the largest supermarkets are producing hundreds of plastic bags that they have stopped. So that has been a great impact on the economy. In reference to the landfill, we are moving in a direction where we want to make sure that we have convenient centers, similar to what Mr. Bates run at the PTR site, that reduces the waste that going into the landfill perhaps tenfold by having those particular compactors. We do have a recycling bill that is under Senator Biden, where we think we need to begin to really recycle and sort the different items. I am a stickler to try to get the transfer station back up and running. We had a compactor at the transfer station, and this is the next example of waste. Waste management bought the path to fix the compactor at some $150,000, and then have now decided that they're not going to install it because they're moving in a different direction. They're looking at they're looking at a passable system coming from Argentina that have never been actually used in any US jurisdiction. But we need to come up with a mechanism to fund garbage collection and garbage disposal. And this is really one of the only jurisdictions in the world where you empty your garbage for free. Any part of the mainland, there's a fee that you have to pay, and that fee is utilized to help to maintain those particular areas. And give the waste management the authority to try to start the waste at a typical fee. But sadly, they have never implemented any of those measures that we passed. So again, the Senate does a lot of stuff, but it has to do with implementation, and it has to do with the executive branch literally forcing their commissioners to implement what is already in the rules. Number one.
Thank you, Senator Vidal. We are, as you know, this is a Democratic Party forum, and we will be remiss if you don't ask questions pertaining to your affiliation with the party and the fact that you're running under the party banner. So, Mr. John, why are you a Democrat and why are you vying for a Senate seat under the Democratic Party banner?
Thank you very much for that question. And to try to make it about it. My father has been a lifelong Democrat as long as I know. He teach me the Democratic way since 1986. I was only 6 years old then. And he took me to every campaign trail, he took me to every party, every canvassing, everything that he was involved in the Democratic progress to see his candidate win. I was right there watching right alongside him. So I've grown a love for the party as far as how they operate, how they collectively come together as a body and get things done to help this territory move forward. And I feel in the position I am right now that this is my strongest point running as a Democrat to be able to get meaningful legislation and meaningful policies and work collectively with my colleagues to make sure that we are together, are working together as a party and as a team to push this territory forward for the people of the territory of this beautiful United States. And John, thank you very much for that much.
Thank you, Mr. John. Ms. Whitaker, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Why are you a Democrat and why are you vying for a Senate seat under the Democratic Party banner?
Thank you very much for that question. The Democratic Party, we're actually in some very exciting times at this juncture. We have the possibility of, at the national level, of electing individuals who we hope will support what happens here in our territory. My experience of the Democratic Party, as many know, I last time I ran as a Democrat, I'm running as a Democrat now. In the past 2 years, I've been really happy as I've been welcomed back into the party, and many ways in which the party has begun to shift in so many ways. Specifically, the party has, and I continue to see the party work collaboratively, even as we engage this election season, but even beyond that, a party that is seeking to reform itself, and that is something that I sought to be part of, and I'm glad to be part of that shift and that change. Also, too, when we talk about the party, or this party in particular, it's the freedom of choice, freedom of association, and those are the principles that the party upholds. And that's why I'm also proud to run as a Democrat. Also, again, I reiterate that I was recognized by President Obama, one of a huge Democrat who inspired me, as well as individuals in our community who continue to support me. I want to thank the party for this opportunity. I want to thank all of them to the party and as members of the public who are Democrats, and even those who are not Democrats, because ultimately, as we begin to shift our society, I would like to see a strong political party system, one that I've supported all my life, because that's one of the reasons why I formed the organization dedicated to the political party system. Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 on the ballot. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question, that response, Ms. Whitaker. Appreciate it. The next question is concerning the DNA. The party symbol was removed as an important part of our structure in our party ballot. In the board of election party ballot or ballot period, right? It was removed. The party lobbied very hard to try to get it restored and it was very unsuccessful. How would you restore the party symbol by amending the law should you be reelected?
I don't think the interpretation as to what took place is necessarily how you just stated it. Before you had the opportunity to press the symbol and you will be able to vote for the 7 Democratic candidates. If you touch one other candidate, your ballot was spoiled. So when we looked at it, it wasn't reducing the ability of individuals to vote Democrat, but we were trying to reduce the number of spoiled ballots that were occurring on a regular basis for Democratic candidates, in which individuals were believing that what was on the ballot was asking them a question as to what party they were. So individuals were going in and pressing, taking the direction. If you're Democrat, ICM, or Republican, they pressing Democrat. And then they go and they go and they vote for independent candidate and an next candidate, and then it's voted. So this was a way of reducing the number of spoiled ballots and the effect that it was having on the Democratic Party. When it came out, the Democratic Party did not listen to the actual argument per se, and believed that it was just removing the symbol to remove individuals from being able to vote for that particular category. But when the machine allows you to vote, I mean, before, and what if you're doing a paper ballot or anything else, it allows you to vote. You can mark 10 names on the paper ballot. And we were using a electronic machine or using something. So it was a real way to make sure that Democrats get more votes. I would rather just see all of the candidates that are there, that they're identified by the party, but not that you press and you get all seven. And if you look across the mainland, in a lot of jurisdictions, we're one of the only voting locales that were still using that particular manner of voting. Look at all of the different jurisdictions. We were one of the only areas that were still using your press that the symbol and you get all seven. So I think we help the party moving forward. But we can do that. Go ahead, number one on the ballot.
Except that, if I may add that, the issue that created that was actually the machine. The machine, the machines when they were purchased was an off-the-shelf software. It was not tailored exactly for the machine. But now that that situation has been rectified, and it is, I really strongly suggest that we look at because the party is desiring of having a symbol, but if a person chooses to vote for all party person, you just push one thing. That's the goal.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Bailey, for that response, your honest response. You know, I'm glad that you didn't just skirt over the issue, but you answered honestly.
I would never do that.
I would thank you for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the question and answer segment, unless you wanted some more questions, because we do have some more. But the time is slipping away from us. So we're going to give you 2 minutes each to wrap up, to give us your closing statement. We're going to start with Mr. John tonight, right? Then to Senator VLA and to Ms. Wilson. Mr. John, 2 minutes wrap up.
Thank you, everyone that has tuned in tonight to witness this epic event forum of the candidates being brought to you guys here on display for you guys to make a decision on who is the champion on your issues that's going to deliver for you on what needs to be done in this territory. I am Andrew John, number 8 on your candidate, and I believe education is the starting point to making sure that our next generation are equipped with the tools that are necessary to get them ready for this journey that they're about to embark on. I remember when I graduated from high school here, and I graduated with an 89 GPA average, thanks to Mr. VLA over there sitting across from me as my principal once again. And I had several options graduating from the high school educational complex. I could go to the military, I had an option to go to college, I had an option to work at tropical shipping at the time because I was already an intern there doing the summer programs. And I just chose the military because I wanted to travel the world and I wanted to see what else existed outside of my territory. And I got an option to do that. And I came back home and I'm just ready to work for the people. I've been a servant since I was 12 years old in the church. I have my own band. I've been a public servant in the military. I've served my country. And I'm back here to do more work to make sure that our territory has a safe and secure future for everyone that's staying here and resides here in this territory. I stress to everyone that this is paradise. This is paradise. And there's millions and billions of people that would love to be here in our place instead of us. So we need to wake up and realize that we have a jewel and appreciate it and do anything we can to preserve paradise. Andrew John, number 8 on your ballot. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I must say that Claude number 1 on the ballot. I think you have a good understanding of the way that government functions. I think that I'm willing, not think, I know that I'm willing to make hard and tough decisions, whether or not they're popular or unpopular, and make decisions that are based on the best interest of the people of the Virgin Islands and the best long-term interest of the people of the Virgin Islands. There are a lot of decisions that you can make as a senator where you're going to receive a lot of vote, but it's not in the best interest. It's a quick fix. It's something that people are happy that they're going to receive. I'll give a good example. People ask me all the time, when are we going to get our taxes? I say, well, you're not going to get it now because we have a pandemic. We have limited resources. If I tell you that you're going to get your tax next month, I'll be lying to you. Is that an answer I want to hear? No, it's not an answer, but it's the truth. And I believe that if you're elected to this body, that you need to tell individuals the truth on a regular basis. You need to force individuals to be accountable who appear before you. You need to properly vet bills that come before you. You need to be an avid reader so you can read the inner details and you don't miss areas in which you're trying to gloss over. And the role of a senator is so important because if you don't have a strong Senate, it is possible to lose the Virgin Islands in a very, very short period of time to special interests. Very, very possible. So you need to make sure that you have a strong body that is going to be a reflection as to what is the best direction for the Virgin Islands in all aspects, and that is going to hold individuals responsible that come before the Senate on a regular basis. The moderator came before us recently and she did a wonderful job because we saw a change, we saw a reform in the entity that she's running. So you okay, we're moving in the right direction. But there are other individuals that come and they're doing a horrible job. Some doing good, but then individuals are straight that you're supposed to just applaud everyone, and that's not the system. So I'm just encouraging anybody that is running for the seat to take a job as serious as possible. I am committed to this community. I'm dedicated to the province of the Virgin. I love the Virgin Islands. I'm a proud Virgin Islander, Crucian, Centurion mix. And I am asking for your vote on August 1st. Vote card valid number 1 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Dearman.
Once again, good evening to everyone. Thank you for all those who tuned in. You have within you a woman of action, a committed woman, a woman who loves a love for humanity. I am humbly asking for your vote and your support. So as you go to head to the ballot, head to the look forward to August 1st or take part in early voting, which ends on July 26th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the election office here in St. Croix. Really weigh your choices, examine. For me, you can check out my website, that's genevieveWhitaker.com, Facebook, Friends and Supporters of Genevieve Whitaker. I tell people you can Google, type my name in, you can search me on Google, several pages, read my background biography. But tonight was not about me, it's about you, the people of the Virgin Islands and of St. Croix. The second generation Virgin Islander, I am very proud to be in this space and have this opportunity to present myself before you. As we continue, as we progress as a society, as we evolve, I am also proud to continue to represent us on the international level as I continue to work on all the issues surrounding our colonial status, which impact our very lives. It impacts our ability to live safely, it impacts our ability to turn on our lights, to have a decent quality of life. You have within you a person who can work collaboratively across the various lines, a person who pushes for gender balance and equity, and as one who would continue to push to hold people accountable. And accountability, you have that through transparency. So I'm going to ask agencies to be transparent. We ourselves as a body must also be transparent as well. I will continue to push for our boards to stand up and to stand firm and to also operate efficiently and effectively. And to all those out there, all of those in the workforce, continue to support you and to help everyone to evolve our society. Once again, asking for your vote and support. Genevieve Whitaker, number 6 in the ballot.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you, supporters. Thank you, viewing and listening audience. And thank you to the Democratic Party leadership for putting on this forum. I think it is well done. Thank you so much. I thank you, Mr. Dunn, Mr. Whitaker, aspirant, and incumbent Senator, Mr. BLA. I wish you all the best. I wish you good luck. I thank the public for supporting you. I urge the public to support you. We need all our support for all our Democratic Party leadership and aspirants. Now I'm going to turn it over to our state chair, Mr. Cecil Benjamin, who will give us closing remarks.
Thank you, Barbara. I want us to give our delegates a beautiful round of applause, a terrific presentation. Great, I guess you about it all. As all of us know, elections are about the future and the conditions of the people, living conditions of the people, quality of that condition. You have heard them, you have listened to their intellectual persuasion, you have seen their personal qualities, you have heard the ideas, the proposals, and the plans that they put forward to solve your problems. And now we'd like for you to go out there and vote for our tremendous candidates as we are accustomed to present to you, the public. The span for, I'm trying to remember the date, the span for our early voting is going until I think the 26th. And so we are urging all of you to continue to go out there to vote. And our real voting date is August 1st. Again, go out there, and despite the COVID virus at this time, I think that we have a responsibility also to go and vote for these very people who are going to be elected in the 34th legislature to be able to take care of all of these problems, including our current situation with COVID virus. Again, to all Democrats, all the voters, go out and vote. We need you. We need your support. We need for you to support these talented, experienced, and committed candidates that we present to you for 2020 to the 4th legislature. Again, thank you, everyone, and thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
There's some light refreshments back there.
16 more positive changes. 16 more positive. I need a lot of